And so let's start with the elephant in the room, sexual health. Why is it that even though we're living in the modern times, it still seems like it's such a hush-hush topic? Why is it still a taboo? And how can women then own their own sexuality?
Okay.
Yeah.
The taboo part has to do with culture. It's the way you were raised. So you become culturally encapsulated in this space whereby there's just some things that are not said. Even I found myself having to outgrow the way my parents raised me to come to a space where I can be open with women. It's easier for me because I see women all day.
Yeah.
And because of my education, I have to target those things. So when I'm out of the clinical space now, I meet someone like you.
Yeah.
And then if you're frank enough and you ask those questions, or I trigger them out of something you said,
Yeah.
then I can say, oh, you mentioned that part. So tell me about that part, what's doing for you. Or I'll find it in the way you are looking and say that, oh, so you're married? Oh, how many kids,
Maybe 3?
Maybe, yeah. There you go. Oh, we're giving you 3 kids.
So give me 3 kids.
So I can, and then I get into a space of how the marriage is going, so I usually able to pick a niche in different people or pick the elephant in each person, and that's the one I attack.
Yeah.
And women, it's hard because depending on which, now in Kenya, tribe or how you were raised or how old you are or what part of your lifespan you're going through determines how much you can say then. Or you feel like if I say that one, I might be the only one going through it. Then the interesting thing is you say it, everyone in the room goes, yep. Remember Gayla, Tiban Hallelujah, because she's going through something that I'm going through because menopause at that time. So until you say it, you still think that you're by yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you think it dates back to when we started our periods, at least ladies and girls? Do you think it starts there, that stigma, and then it just carries through?
And even before.
Yeah?
Yeah, so depending on how you were raised. So if you were raised in like my household was very open. My mom was talking about potential of a period by the time I was like 8. It was still like weird.
Yeah.
But she used the right language.
Yeah.
And it came from a place of love. So not everybody has that privilege too. They don't have a mother or just the wrong home. There's abuse and all kinds of stuff. So if you grow up in like I want to say perfect is a bad word to use. You have somebody who can, ideal, who nurtures you into this space. By the time it shows up, you're not screaming that, oh my gosh, what is this? What is you've been prepped? But it starts as early as I've seen kids, maybe 8, up to 8 with a period.
Yeah. 8 is young.
It's very young.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's the US based though, because sometimes things like diet and lifestyle bring your periods quicker than other places. So mine came at 14 in the middle of KCSE. KCP? KCP. Yes. I remember sitting there and we were doing an English paper. I'll not forget, and I just in the middle of an exam. But if nobody had told me anything, I would have felt like I was dying.
Of course, because what is this?
What is this? And the pain, and you're in the exam and you can't get out. So I just knew my mom had mentioned something about it might feel like this. But thinking, oh no, I didn't even have a pad. So when I stand from here, there'll be a red blotch on my
And so if we go on, it's because of the English paper.
It might have been. Yes, I triggered it. Yeah, it took a long time to get it, but I was prepared for it because my mom talked about it. Even my dad. Even my dad's whole, oh, we are common. Oh, I know. My household is very atypical. We are very open about so many different things that people listen to me talking to my dad about some stuff. They're like, oh, that's your dad. You're mentioning those words. I'm like, yes. In fact, he's the one who triggered them.
Yeah. Interesting. So would you encourage parents to be really, really open with their kids?
Completely open. And at the level above than what they think their kids know.
Sure.
Because what you think your kids know, oh no, they're like steps ahead. Sometimes my daughter, when I was when we're raising her, she's 19 now in this March. And I would talk to her about something. She's like, Mom, that's like yesterday. That was her one line. That's like so yesterday.
Yeah, that's so yesterday.
Yeah. So when if we were controlling what was on her phone, we talked about that yesterday. She had friends who nobody's controlling what's on the phone. So I'm thinking I'm trying to teach her something about this. She's like, no, ma'am, we are here. We are still here. So
I still 1900.
yes. So I had to get to 1905 because then I stay ahead of the information. So by the time she hears something about that's bad, then I've gotten there before her. Then she'll say, oh, my mom said this about it because I've gotten there before the information hit her.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that becomes her baseline if I don't get there before. And it's hard because parents are shy or they don't have enough education about that topic. Like, how do I approach it if I don't know anything about it?
Yeah, and you could be uncomfortable with those things. So that becomes so difficult for you to then go and research, and it's something you're not even used to.
Yeah, or you don't want to touch.
You want to touch.
Yeah.
So even talking to your kids seems like a whole new world.
Or something you're not seeing yourself.
Yeah.
This lady had her son was 12 and she found him watching porn.
Yeah.
On the phone. Because phone, I mean, you can go on your phone right now and put Pornhub. You'll have all the porn you want. Category-wise, which is your flavor. 12. And he told her he'd been watching it since he was 9.
9 years old. That's Yeah.
on the phone. So you know his sexuality is already ruined.
Yeah, of
That's
course.
how he'll see him and he thinks that's how you're supposed to have sex with a woman or whatever version of sexuality he's seen on there.
Yeah.
But she didn't address it even though she had seen hints of it. Or even seen him one time and just left it alone because she thought, how am I going to touch porn?
No, that's something so out there, yeah, for her especially.
Yeah, but they never had that much access to information, and it was still the phone was still the one for dialing, you know. So now we as parents have to catch up that level of the smartphone and then get ahead of it and actually own that space.
Yeah. So how do you dial it back? Like, say someone is watching and that's their kid, the phone their kid. So how do you move on from there? Because now you're already on the other side.
Yes, now at this point, if you have a kid who's gotten to that point, now you have to get into the space of mental health. You're going to have to teach him to unlearn him what he has learned. No, it is the unlearner, which means you have to learn. Yeah. Now you have to get ahead of it and learn, how do I cope with this? How do I handle porn with my kid? What are people doing out there? What are the resources? And then have your kid taken in for mental health and figure out exactly how far in are they with this thing. Was this a curiosity? Yeah. Because of the hormones, or has this become an addiction already? Because porn, just like alcohol and everything else, has receptors in your system that will make you, that can become addiction for you.
Become addiction. So that makes sense. And you spoke a little bit about when you were starting your period and you were a kid and you didn't know what that was about. And that can be traumatic for some girls. Yeah, in your experience, have you seen that?
Yes. Yeah. Because and I just got off a show right now and I was telling them, as a human being, your body, the minute it sees blood, panics. It doesn't matter where it's seeing it. You see somebody get hurt or yourself, because it's, your body is preserving itself. It knows if we lose too much of this red stuff, we die. Yeah. So anytime you see it, you like get a band-aid, get something, you move. Yeah. So if nobody told you about a period and now it's coming from your most intimate space, then now you feel like you're dying or something.
Yeah.
So if you're told about it before, you're like, oh yeah, they mentioned something about this is, the woman who is transitioning something. So now I know where I can go for a safe space. I can go ask my mom mentioned it or my auntie mentioned it. Pads, tampons, what am I going to do? If nobody mentions it, that's scream fest. I've seen the kids who are like, whoa, completely lost it. By the time they come in, or not even told their mom. Yeah, they're coming in for a visit and the mom doesn't know the period has started.
Yeah. Oh my. Yeah. So some girls will then end up carrying that through their whole lifetime and mirroring it in their children, and then it just keeps going, and then comes work, and then comes life, and then you have it's so much.
And bad habit. Yeah, do.
Bad habit.
Yeah, do. Yeah, if you don't talk about it, then other things, like, for example, things as basic as, I was seeing this patient, she was telling me she changes her pad every 6 hours. I'm like, no, ma'am.
No.
Ngoja paka ijae. That's not how that works. You can remove it before. But she just never knew.
Because where would she have learned that?
Where would she have learned? For that, how that was normal. So whatever is your normal, if you don't talk about it, you never realize that this whole time you've been doing the wrong thing.
All right. So that could have some mental implications, some emotional implications. Does carrying all of this mentally and emotionally affect your physical health? Does it come up later and then it turns into something else, a disease, an illness?
Yes. And actually there's an argument about how cancer starts, Everything in your body that triggers a stress factor will produce a hormonal response that now targets particular areas in your body. For example, cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. It's useful for many things, but then if you have too much cortisol in your system, that's a stress hormone that can cause damage. So when you're thinking that nothing's happening, because maybe you're going through depression, no, your depression is doing enough damage to your body that you don't realize. Like depression, for example, fatigue.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you say what's causing you to be tired, not just I had a hard day, but this sadness of like, I'm not even wanting to wake up.
Yeah.
Then you have to go back and think, okay, what's my trigger? What's my body saying about it? Why am I so tired? Is it coming from a mental space? What's causing this? So being aware of what your body is telling you, that's where it starts. Because it can lead you to a mental thing that you have that you don't realize you have.
Yeah. And you spoke about hormones a little bit, and that's a big.
That's everywhere.
Yeah, that's everything at every stage. Yes, yeah. Could you talk to us a bit about that? There's so many myths about hormone imbalances. What are red flags? What are warning signs? Is she just moody? Is she just angry, or are her hormones passing up?
Yes. Now your hormones, they exist on continuum. Of course, from the time they're triggered about almost the premenstrual to menstrual point, and then they come to a kind of a grinding halt in a way towards menopause.
Yeah.
So in between that, you're gonna face some kind of hormonal change.
Yeah.
So there'll be imbalances based on life. So I can be sitting here, everything is great. I walk out there, I get a weird phone call. then another hormone will be triggered. I become somebody completely different. You're like, but we were just doing great. What's going on? We're having so much fun. So the awareness that your hormones are going to fluctuate, that's the first place to start. And then why are they fluctuating? How badly have they fluctuated? So teenagers, we call them crazy because it's like when you're starting a car and it's not coming on. Yes, that's a teenager. Then when it starts, it sputters, so it gives them a huge flow of hormones. Suddenly they're going crazy. Then, oh, now you're back. You feel good now. Yes, I'm great. Then tomorrow, up and up. That same stream finds you in menopause. In between that, you assume you're going to go this way, right? You're having babies, things should be stable. No, but maybe you'll get divorced. Maybe something else, some tragedy will come up that will spike you. So there's always some kind of triggers and differences in your hormone levels depending on which part of life you're in.
And so at what point would you say I need to see a doctor about this? Like, this is not normal. I know I've been moody and angry, but
yes, just now you can tell. For example, if I'm sitting here and we're watching TV, there's an ad for, let's say, toothpaste, and I'm crying. Why am I crying about toothpaste? I can. Why the way they brush it? Things that don't make sense for you. You know your personality already. So if I'm triggered by easy things, then I should ask myself, why am I crying over this thing? What has changed? If we're at a funeral, yes, we're supposed to be crying. But if we're not there or something else has changed, you just know yourself and say, that's unlike me to have spiked, to have gotten that angry. It wasn't that big a deal. Why did I go there with? Was it worthy? Did something else happen that made me feel like I could get to that point, or just some random trigger? Like sometimes I find myself, menopause is crazy like this. I'll see something that's not that big a deal, but I will lose it. Then I'll have to go walk myself and say, Susanna, able to be up, put down. It's not that big a deal. This is your hormone that's doing this. So that awareness that I know when my hormone's going to do something helps me. But if you don't know what your hormones do in the first place, then you're stuck. You just go spiking. People think you're crazy because you don't know.
Yeah, let's put the menopause thing on the table. We'll get back to me. Just now. But before we go there, and you've spoken about hormones a little bit, does that affect things like endometriosis and growths and things like that? Also in that aspect. When does someone need to say, I need to go to see a doctor?
Okay, so one thing I encourage is being able to see a medical practitioner at least once a year. Even if you're not feeling sick, prevention beats cure anytime. It's easier to teach you stuff about what's going on lately, research. So at least once a year, get seen, get the baseline stuff done, get a clinical breast exam if you're a woman, a pap smear, or at least even just a speculum exam for somebody to look and say, oh, things look like the way they're supposed to be. And then in between that, listening to your body and saying, oh, okay, talking to your peers, for example, you're like, my period, this last one for 15 days. Now, normally I'm like 6 days. Then I was so long. That's too. Then now you start asking, okay, why did it change? Did something stressful happen that made my period longer? Or it's become a trend? You say, no, the last 3 months it's done this. When you notice that, now you seek help right away because now you try to figure out what has changed that's causing this new pattern. Instead of thinking, oh, maybe it's a different part of my life. And then you just keep going and going. By the time you come in, it's too late. So listening to your body. I tell people to always keep like a menstrual log, for example. Because you can say I was 7 days, 7 days, 7 days. You have all kinds of apps for that now. You can know when you're ovulating. You can know how long your period will last. So you can see a trend and go like, okay, this has changed. Or just being aware of how many times you're going to change a day and what your blood flow is. You're sitting someone, you leave a red blob. You're like, I've never done that before. So when it happens, you get the help right away and find out, is this normal or have I gone way off balance? Instead of saving it for 6 months later and say, oh, Ilianza, ski. I'm like, no, ma'am, not saying equal.
If someone is watching, where should they start? And they're wondering, okay, I've never gone to see a gynecologist. I've never done anything of the sort. Where do I start?
Now, just because it's a women's health thing, it doesn't necessarily have to be a gynecologist. Sometimes when you're in internal medicine, primary care, doctors can still do a lot of your baseline health, because apart from just the women's health part, there's other parts of you. Blood work needs to be done for different things. So you can start there. Then now when there's something that needs referral out, that's when people end up going to a gynecologist. But you can also still come to a gynecologist just as where you get your basic care as a woman.
As a woman.
You can say, I'll go get my cholesterol, whatever it is. That's for first of all, with cholesterol, things like that are a big deal. But here you come and get basic blood work done with your regular doctor. And then now go to your gynecologist and now said, so now you handle my as a garden. We call it the garden. So you handle my garden, because now that becomes more specific to that part. Something that the general doctor maybe doesn't know enough about it or doesn't touch it as much because not their specialty. But if you come across this side of the fence, we will talk about the entire thing.
And that side of the fence, you talk to so many women.
communication. Yeah. And then I can tell you actually what the pattern you've been describing, that's not normal. You should be doing this and this. And because you're doing this, we can change this. But if you don't come in at all, then we don't even know what's wrong. And I can't educate you on what to do to prevent something that you've been struggling with for so. Yeah, something like a painful period, brufen.
And that's what.
If you know the correct dose of brufen, when to start taking it, that's just that. It's that's something that you can have that's medically you're allowed to. So
Interesting. Okay. On that note, are there any myths or narratives that you hear a lot when you're seeing your patients that you'd like to debunk right now and just be like, yeah, that's a myth?
okay.
Yeah.
So the first one is the one that's said all the time, that all women are the same.
Yeah.
No. Come on. We have female parts, they are not the same. So it means that, for example, if a guy is dating Fatima, like I know I keep saying Fatima, I don't know. There must be some. If you're dating this girl, the stuff he did with her is not gonna work for Beryl.
Yep.
Yeah. But you know what the two have in common? Fatima and Beryl are both female.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna work the same.
Yeah.
So now when you leave Fatima, yes, you'll come from there with your skill set. Your folk will just say, yeah, stamp your chest that I know this how. No. What worked for her might not work for you. So the thing that we talked about yesterday was communication. Yeah. And the woman knowing herself well enough to be able to present her garden. You know, today I don't want you to dig in my garden. Today we're going to water the garden. Today we're just going to take a tour of the garden. We're just going to talk about. So owning that space is so empowering.
Yeah.
And it's not easy for you to just give it up.
Yeah, it's not easy to give it up. Yeah, and our cultural context really sometimes is such a barrier to owning your garden because it seems like it's something out there.
Yeah.
You are afraid of it.
Nobody talks about it. Nobody looks at it. Nobody nothing. Yeah. Yeah. You just think like it's a, we put it in a space whereby we don't talk about it, but also we don't care for it. It's just that I'm not bad. Yeah. People will care about their nails more than they'll care about the vagina.
Yeah, they'll do their wigs and their hair.
Oh, yeah, but nobody's taking a mirror and looking there and saying, oh, that was not there last month. What is that? Or what's that smell? Or the last time I was with this guy, this happened.
Yeah.
That wasn't comfortable. Or, you know, my periods are this. So until you're very much aware of your own space, then now you can protect it. It's the same way you do your nails. So you really have the brows mental. Oh, you do. Even the fact that seeing it as a dirty space, that drives me crazy. See, that's another thing. The vagina is a dirty space. So it's like, yeah. And not dirty as in because of literal chafu, but we don't talk about it. It's not
Thing to be hidden, then put it.
into be, yeah. Until something's really wrong with it, then we can come out and say, okay, now this is what's going on.
Yeah.
Instead, I advocate for like, you know, being very aware of it. I could say monthly checks, even more than that if you want to. If something feels odd, take a mirror and just look and go like, okay, why am I itching here? Kwani mimi change? Last time niangalie kuko hapo.
Kwa sawa, yeah.
Kwa sawa. I was with this guy and now I have this weird smell. Those are things, you know, you're very conscious of your own scent. And so talk about that. Someone stand up and you're like, I know how I smell. So if something shifts,
like you know already there's something different.
what made things shift? Did I use the wrong soap? I don't have an STD. What's up?
Yeah, what's up?
But you have to consciously take care of her the same way you take care of other parts of you.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I think there's some work still to be done.
Yeah.
With that.
And talking about it, even with your peers, so you can know, like me, you know, when this lady, she'd been married, I think it was 14 years. Yeah, she had like 4 kids and she was 26.
Oh, wait, what?
Yes, my other patient, she was 26. She has had 4 kids already, married at about, I think it was 18.
Oh, yeah.
And when I talked about everything in her life, she came for a well visit. Then I go, because I'm a sexual health counselor, I'll go in that direction. So I started asking about sexual health questions. Do you know, she tells me, one, she's never had an orgasm.
Ever, with 4 children?
None.
With 4.
And the sex has never been consensual. She just gives it. Nobody talked about sex. Nobody did anything. She just got married and now the guy just takes.
Yeah.
It's just like.
Yeah, because you can't have marital rape.
Yeah. Anytime you don't consent to it.
Yeah.
Even coercion.
Yeah.
Achinipe tu, mkona njaa, kiasi with me, tend happy, you know, I'll go find somebody else. That's still coercion and that is still not okay. I should be able to tell my guy, I don't feel like it. It will change, it'll get better. I know unafinywa, but today I can't. Ngoja kesho. Oh yeah, we can have the discussion about when, without him then making you feel guilty about it. That's the other part. So if you have a guy who's like, munipati or whatever it is, or now he shouts the whole day, changes the whole mood, you have a bigger problem than you think you have.
Oh, really? That definitely.
They should be able to say no, even in the middle of sex. If it hurts, I should be able to tell you, Yeah. Hapo nasikia uchungu. We change corner, we do something different, or we completely stop. So they say no, it's a sentence.
It's a sentence.
It's in the middle of it, even if it's at the height of the guy is just losing it. You're, no.
Yeah, I know. So let's pick up the menopause that we left on the table, yeah, and now the second matter different. That the hopes must be different. And that's something that people don't speak about almost at all. When you go online and look at menopause, you only find hot flashes, and that's that. Oh, no, nothing else.
No. Because your ovaries are what produce the hormones. So towards menopause, they are kind of shutting down. So when you're approaching menopause, they sputter around the place. That's how come you become like a teenager in a woman's body. Oh yeah, good. Do your height more, your low, do your this, that. And it comes things like the libido. We talk about the libido, right? So you go from, this is your guy, you guys have always had sex on Tuesday, nakuanga sawa, and we know our routine by this point. Suddenly you wake up and that routine is dead.
Yeah, completely desert.
He's just some roommate that you live with because you don't feel like
And
you want
even like him that
No. On most days you don't. And you literally do not want to have sex with him. Could be a stranger in the room because your hormones have shifted. So the part that loves him is still there, but your hormones don't want to do this. And then your body betrays you. Now that nice, stretchy, vagina called like an accordion. Now, when you're young, it's like stretchy. It can go this way during sex. You can push a baby through it. It shortens and gets smoother. So you have, and dry. So you have a squeaky vagina, is what I call it. Squeaky vagina. Literally. So your vagina shortens and gets smoother. So your chance of getting infections is a little bit higher. Sex becomes uncomfortable because his penis size didn't change. He might be older now. It's not performing at 10. Hallelujah. But it's still the same length, right? That's what happened to your vagina. Shorter. And she's now dry. Yeah. So you need to think about
really shorter.
it shortens, this gets smoother, the linings. So now it's like almost sandpapery. You have to think about things like lubrication, timing your sex, talking about what works and how things have shifted. So, it's not you, it's the hormones that are doing this. So we can plan this better and change our routine so you still maintain a good bonding system. Otherwise, people can actually literally get divorced over it. Or partners step outside the box.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, because it's now been 3 years.
Yeah. We didn't touch me like 4 months. What am I supposed to do with myself?
Yeah,
It's a thing. Yeah. I've counseled patients who that's actually a problem until I tell them when it comes to sexual health counseling, bring your guy. There's 2 people in this thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe 3. Whoever's involved in this thing, ebu kujeni nyinyi oshe. Let's kila mtu akae kwa meza tujue what's up. Yeah, my patient still remains the woman because that's what I'm dealing with. But then I do consciously ask the guys to come in.
Yeah.
So I tell them, have you noticed that when you're doing this position, that's just complaining about this? Because this is why.
Yeah.
Do you see her hormone levels? I showed the labs. I'm like, this is why she's feeling the way she's feeling. You can just see the guy, the lights clicking.
Yeah. So it's a conscious effort that you have to really raise your space.
Most days come in only when she's pregnant. Oh my God, let's come. And then you can't ask boy. No. I'm like, bring him. If it's a problem, there's the 2 of you that is burning the home. Come on in.
And I think around these issues, we've really left men outside.
And then we blame them for not getting it.
Yeah. And so I think as you're saying, from the very beginning, because when we were in primary, they would kick the boys out so that
Let's talk. How about if you left him in and let them know what's happening in the woman? This happened to me when I left for the US the first time.
Yeah.
And my cycle shows up as soon as I get on. I sit down, I'm like, oh no. And I have endometriosis to talk about it again. It's a very painful disease. So I just knew the trigger. So I'm sitting there and I just feel like the way you feel like it's your body has just dumped something.
Yeah.
The bathrooms are right behind here. And then I'm sitting here, there's 2 guys, I'll not forget. They were Arabic, young men even. And now I knew I have to get up and go. Yeah. So I have nothing to cover myself. The blanket that I was holding was on the side here. I stood up and these 2 guys, that blanket, they just covered me. As I turned around the bend real quick. When I came back, they had folded some blankets and they put on top of where the blood had. Yeah. Because the one thing my dad did too, he told me carry a change of clothes in my carry-on. So now I had a cream suit top and a skirt brown that's so off, but I had a change of clothes because my cream suit was wet back up. And these guys, I don't know how they knew, but they covered me. Yeah, they just like did the blanket like this without looking, and I walked off and I came back there and there were no words exchanged. They're just here. Yeah, so, did somebody tell them about that stuff? Was it just their culture? Were they just honorable guys? I don't know. But when we isolate the guys from this part of the talk, sometimes it doesn't help.
Yeah.
having them in, depending on when you're doing the talk, is interesting. So whoever's doing the teaching and how they can incorporate them, you're going to have to get past the giggling.
Yeah.
Ini mambo za mademo unatofanya pale hapa. Yeah, but you have a sister, you have a mom, you're going to date one of these girls and they grow up. So know something about the way the system works. There's some spaces that are only intimate enough for the woman or the girl where you have to get a little bit deeper. But still, those general health talks should involve both both ends of those.
Ends of it. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Right. So, but when you get to menopause, it's not like the end of your prime, because that's what you always say sometimes.
State, I'm just priming right about now. Yes, I could treat as
Some of the positive
of that age.
of that age. Yeah.
It's the release. I feel like
Yeah.
I know myself. I know what I want. So I'm able to say no comfortably. So actually maybe, if it's something I don't want to compromise, I don't go around the circle with it. I mean, I'm still encompassing other person's opinion, but I can just say, you're stuck, you're stuck. And then knowing your body even better. You know what she needs and what she doesn't need. I know that if I'm menopausal, so my vagina will be squeaky. So I know if we're going to be sexually active with somebody, guess who's carrying her own lubrication?
You.
Guess who's carrying her own condoms? Yeah. There's no a condom. No, that thing does me crazy. First of all, that thing does me crazy.
Do you have it?
This thing of like, yeah, we're going to have some, the guy will have the condoms. No, he might have a condom he had in his pocket since 1984. Or something that really worked for you. Yeah. Don't find a blueberry flavor. No, I don't like blueberries. I don't like the smell. It makes me itch. So you have to think about what you. Yeah. So that itch comes with that knowledge, full knowledge of your body.
Yeah, and I guess that confidence. Yeah, because you'd find someone in campus might not be as confident or not can buy the condom, carry the
and that's the space that we need to occupy now and say that, okay, so it's important that you do. Just like when you buy your own pads. You can actually have your own condom. If you know you're sexually active, when you're going to be sexually active, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong.
Just because you shut up with condoms doesn't mean some kind of whole, like, oh, see, the bus have condoms, skill up, the label. Or that's what people think. Yes, let's say you have one condom, you just go around looking for sex. I'm just being safe. I could go somewhere and hang out and decide I'm going to be sexually active with somebody, then I'll be ready.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think we really do need to.
And then getting past that label. So what if people think that I'm still protecting myself?
Yeah, you're the one who's going to be sick. And you don't have to use P2s every single time, because that's a whole other.
And that's the old of everything.
Yeah?
Yeah. And it's not necessarily guaranteed that it's going to work.
Yeah. So medical practitioner to girl.
Yeah. So you have to know about what your system is doing.
Yeah.
Like when are my periods coming on? When am I ovulating? When am I most fertile? You still have to be aware of that. So that you know that if you take a P2 at this time, it won't work anyway.
Yeah.
You've already closed the window where you've had sex.
Yeah.
Sperm will get inside you and live for a certain amount of time.
Oh yeah.
When you ovulate, that egg will live a certain amount of time. So your P2 could have crossed. That window has happened already. They've had the date they've made. They're going to make the baby.
Already.
And you're
the
taking
child
a P2.
is already crying.
It's not going to work. And then you think, okay, I bled. I had a period. No,
Yeah.
P2 throws off your cycle so bad that you think, okay, at least I'm safe. The period came.
Yeah.
No, that may not necessarily be a period.
Yeah.
It could just be an odd bleed and you're still pregnant.
Yeah.
Some people have been pregnant and have bleeding sessions and they think they're not because,
really?
well, my period showed up or I'm still bleeding, so I should be okay.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So
P2
is a big
emergency.
Yeah, it's
Just
exactly for that. And it has a very tight window in which to take it.
Yeah.
So if you cross that window, you're wasting time.
Yeah.
And then now you throw off your cycle by the time you're sexually active next time. Now you don't even know when you're ovulating what your window is. So now you've opened a chance for now getting pregnant without a plan. Yeah.
You're right. And even
it's only emergent. You're with somebody and the condom breaks. Okay.
Yeah.
P2, because you were being safe anyway. Yeah. So now that's when you take it. But if it's your form of birth control, it's not a form of birth control.
It's not a form of birth control. Yeah.
Nope,
and now it's not only about pregnancy, because sometimes it feels like we're just afraid for the pregnancy, but we have
and you also throw off your
HIV. You have all of those things. Yeah.
Now you're opening your space into whereby anything that disrupts the way the vagina functions throws off the pH.
Yeah.
So it can throw the pH in your vagina and you get things like an overgrowth of your own bacteria, which now if your vagina is no longer safe.
Yeah.
She can't protect you from things like HIV. She's built to protect from certain STDs. Okay. So if you throw off her pH, then guess what you've done? Yeah, now she's not her guard is off. She's busy trying to do other things here, and this is coming at her.
Yeah.
So that becomes an issue.
Yeah.
We actually used to give PrEP, the medication for HIV. For patients who used to have constant pH changes in their vagina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and who were sexually active.
It'll help that,
Prevent you from getting HIV. Yeah, it helps.
Yeah, it helps.
So we've done that a lot with some of the patients that I've had. That's what we go back to the topic about being like conscious of how you're feeling. Did my discharge change? What's that smell? Those are things that give you cues about how to protect yourself. Then you, like I said, your own condoms.
Your own condoms, put them in your bag.
People think chlamydia, HIV, even for a long time HIV was a thing. You don't want to get HIV. Now HIV, one pill. And people walking around you, I could have HIV and you have no idea.
You never know.
You say, before we do this thing, let's go get tested. Then I show up with my negative paper. You show up with your negative paper. One of us is still HIV positive.
Yeah, because it's a
the viral load is just low. The test can't pick it up. And if I don't tell you out of the goodness of my heart, to the consciousness of being a human being, then you don't know. And there's medicine to protect you from getting my HIV too. But that's HIV. That's how far advanced it's come. People forget things like HPV, human papillomavirus. Now that is an STD that causes cancer. And people don't realize it. I worry more about that one than any other.
So talk to us about the vaccination and how taking the vaccine for HPV can really help in the preventative case for cervical cancer.
So typically the vaccine is best given before you become sexually active. That's how come it's given to young girls. It's just like any other vaccine. This fear of like it's the sex vaccine.
Because that's what people think.
That's been politicized, which is really difficult for us as providers trying to unlearn that in people's minds. If you give me a vaccine for chickenpox, they basically say, chickenpox need rash. No, we just got the chickenpox. So this is a new challenge that we have. Therefore, the vaccine exists. And it covers some of the most virulent, fancy word for the worst versions of HPV, worst numbers that cause cancer the most. So if you have not had any sexual contact, and I don't mean that like penis vagina or penis anus, whatever it is people are doing, even just fingering, those my fingering things you're doing up on before. Your trouble can start as soon as that.
Oh, interesting.
Fingers in vagina, I touch his penis, vice versa, we're doing all this stuff. We're still exchanging fluids and HPV. So you can still get as early as that. So if you get them before they've had any sexual contact, and that way you prevented those particular kinds of HPV. You can't have a vaccine that covers every single type. It will be this big. I mean, it will be a whole bottle. So you have to just pick the ones that cause the most trouble. So the earlier, the better. But if you've had sex already, now you can still get the vaccine up to a certain age. I'm 48 now, so I can still decide I want the vaccine because I'm single. If I decide to be sexually active, I can get exposed to HPV, so I can still get it. The research has only gone to a certain point, but the more we research it, the more we realize it's still available for different ages.
So anybody, even though you're already sexually active, can go and get.
You can still get the vaccine because you've been sexually active for, we can say, 5-6 years, right? But you haven't gotten that particular type. So HPV 16, for example, which is notorious for causing cervical cancer. Okay, so you can have been active all this time but never got 16. Then the next time you have sex, which one you get?
You get this.
Now suddenly you have 16 and you've never had it. So if you got the vaccine, then you're protected from 16. So you can get it at any time.
And so if we marketed the HPV vaccine to be something that can be
like cancer prevention, that's all you have to market it as. Not as the sex vaccine or all these things. HPV is sexually transmitted, yes. Like hepatitis B. And we still give those vaccines. Now, what are we debating? It's how it's been marketed and what the politics that came with it. Because people are, again, back to our topic. I'm comfortable when it comes to talking about sex with your kids or dealing with sex generally. So if we just know that's what it is, and you put in people's mind, it's a vaccine for cancer. Cancer, literally. So when I hear people are dying of cervical cancer, I'm like, this shouldn't be happening. Prevention, talking about sexual promiscuity, protection, just realizing it's actually a cancer. You're fearing the wrong thing.
We need to focus on
you need to realize it's this thing will give you cancer. And especially in a place with not a lot of screenings happening, not enough education about what this is. You just live your entire life, you're in 30s, 40s, no matter pap smear, and then one day you just start bleeding out of nowhere, or the smell or something shifts. Now you have cancer. It's found at a much, much later stage than it should be found. But if you knew from before, then you're like, I can get the vaccine. Sexually active, I can get it or get it before with your children before. Then now you're protected from those particular ones because there's one that cause cervical cancer and the ones that cause genital warts. Those weird growths people get sometimes that look like the edge of the sukuma. Those marastings. The ones I'm like, you tell people, when you're having sex, people put the lights on so that you can see. But what are you touching? Who are you trying to blow here? And you haven't looked at what's on his penis. Like, what are we doing here? John Skuma thing. Zimeja. And everyone meza too. So throat cancer. HPV.
Because it does cause
anal, throat. So your troubles can be right here.
This is a much bigger discussion.
there's a lot to be told about HPV, even just the genital warts part, even the cancer of the throat comes from the same thing.
Yeah, from the same thing.
Tanisha, I've never had vaginal penetration, but guess what? You now get throat cancer because you are an oral sex person.
Yeah. And you thought that you're safe.
That you're safe now. No, but yeah, it will find its way there.
Yeah. So it seems that women of all stages just need to figure out who they are. At your work,
A consciousness.
yeah. Your work brings together the mental part, the emotional part, the spiritual part. How do all of these things play a part, intertwine, so that the woman is a whole woman?
Okay.
Yeah.
I can give an example of myself. I reevaluate those spaces a lot. Like long term, they always exist, right? But then I also reevaluate them like daily. Literally, like today I'm traveling tonight, so I've had to go into those 3 different spaces. I'm like, I want a safe journey, get me there. Then mentally, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have patience on Monday, so I'm going to get my headspace in check. Then my body, I'm feeling like a hard pan to dog. I've had rainbow swimming. I'm having coffee because I'm trying to stay awake to match the time I'm going to. So you see, I'm reevaluating 3 spaces each time, and then which space needs me the most. If last time I left and I had a stomach issue. So guess who needed me the most? My body was speaking to me really loud. I had to figure out, should I go see a doc before I fly out? How am I going to do? So the mental space didn't need me as much. So just stopping and saying, okay, something's off. Like, what's going on? And then say, oh, is it this part that needs it? Or this part that needs me? Then addressing that particular thing. And constantly, like when I leave here, I'll be thinking about something else about that my body needs. I have to go eat something, so my body needs that. Or just the basic. It's not even complicated as in, stop, check box and be so my body will. No, sometimes it's just the very basics. What do I need right now? What do I need in the long term, in a week, in a day, whatever it is? But being conscious about stopping, and actually doing it and saying, okay, something's off. Something's and then click, then figuring out what that thing is before it becomes
the elephant in the room. So bring back the elephant in the room. There's some exciting things that you're working on. Oh yeah. Yes, speaking of the elephant in the room, there's a podcast brewing. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
When I first did a lot of clinical care, I figured out everything I'm telling these women. Some of it is like a spiritual element to it. Like I felt like I was a vessel. I'm just being told to tell these women certain things. Then my education came in and I said, I'm talking to each particular one every day. There's some stuff that's common that what she told me, could have helped that woman from last week. Then I started doing that with each of the ladies and I figured out I need to do it outside of the clinical space. Then a forum like this one. That's where the podcast was born. Because my fun part is finding out what is she not telling me? Like, what's that one thing that she's here and I have maybe 30 minutes with her? But let me find that thing. Because when I look at her, I'm like, there's something here. So I just ask all kinds of probing questions until I find it. I'm like, oh, see, now that's the real problem. Then that's the one we solve or at least talk about or figure out a way to stand at the right place to do that thing. So that's when the elephant in the room got born, because an elephant in the room has to be discussed. Everybody's uncomfortable until you have discussed it. And even then, you're not going to be comfortable discussing it. Doesn't mean that we're going to solve it. It's just because it's we're just going to, we're going to talk about the elephant. And then we're going to avoid feeding the elephant so it then get bigger and bigger and the issue becomes worse. How do we navigate ourselves around it? How do we get it out of the room? There'll always be an elephant in the room in some capacity in your life. So what are you going to do with that elephant?
So like you're talking directly to the audience. So what would you tell that person who's feeling stuck and they're feeling like they're in a difficult place in terms of women's health and they really don't know where to start? And they've listened to you and they've had you mentioning bits and bits of things here and they resonate. What would you say to them directly?
So for me, I think it's important to, it seems so cliche, but to stop what you're doing and listen to yourself. Take those few moments and actually pause and say, what do I need? I do this a lot. I'm like, okay, Susanna, what's wrong? What do I need? I have to actually stop and I talk to myself like it's third party. And I'll use different names, depending on what's going on. I'm like, okay, Susanna, now we have that thing that hurts. Or mentally, I don't feel too good. So I have to actually stop. The most difficult thing to do is to stop. Especially for women. We do so many things at one time.
Mine does. It doesn't stop. You have a living, but you're thinking about this and that.
I was just telling them out here just now that with menopause, like if I wake up to go pee and come back, I don't just like get back to sleep. Oh no, menopause got something to say about that. Now I get in bed and every box in my head opens. I start solving this and that and that and that.
Thinking the curtains, the patient,
everything opens and I can't get back to sleep. So I have to consciously say, okay, stop. I get the app on the phone and I put the app for sleep. Or if it's really bad and I have a headache, I'll take something for it. So I'm intentionally stopping instead of now going that direction of the 3,000 things to solve in my head I have to pull myself back and know, because I'm conscious of my body. I know it's happening because it's hormonal.
Yeah.
That's because I've been listening to my entire system, or I've had resources to know that this is what I'm going through. I'm not crazy. I haven't lost my mind. It's just a transition space. And how do I handle myself in this space? Then is it a magic button? No. But at least I know. Then I haven't lost my mind. I know I'm waking up, I've gone to pee. What do I know? What's my routine after I get back into bed? Okay, that's my routine so that I can sleep again. Instead of like take a tangent, let it take me where it's taking me. And then now my whole next day is messed up. So intention, stopping, just saying, okay, now people have taken enough out of Beryl today. So Beryl is like, she's shut down.
Yeah.
Even if there's people are always going to talk. Doesn't matter what you do. So then let them talk anyway. You do what you have to do for yourself.
Yeah.
I want to be able to create a space that's educational. That's big for me.
Yeah.
And being able to allow people to find a space they can find resources that are accurate.
Yeah.
I call it, with my patients, I call it Googleitis. Googleit. So don't come to me with Googleit, because if you type things on Google, it'll lead you anywhere and everywhere. So if you, with the podcast, my intention is to unlearn, demystify clinical terms, make them as simple as possible so that somebody just understands this is actually as basic. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So into the quick fire question as we come to the end. This has been so good. And so let's have a little bit of fun now. Are you ready for some fun?
Bring it.
Bring it. So, okay. What is the weirdest thing you've tried for wellness that actually worked?
Oh, personally?
Uh-huh.
We call it Mirror Me. Yeah. So that's how it's on my website.
Yeah.
I actually started talking to myself on the mirror, because I used to be so conscious in the way media tells you how you should look like. So I'd pass the mirror, then sometimes I'd pass real quick. Or I find myself holding my breath. I'm like, I just hold my breath like in front of the mirror in my own house, in front of myself. Because it's so used to feel to stand and look a certain way. So then I started just walking back to the mirror like, oh, hi. Yeah. I don't like the way the belly looks. Then in that case, maybe I should go to the gym. Or I see my belly looks like this, like if an angle this side. So it's positive affirmations for every negative thing you see.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a joke
Yeah.
until it started working for me.
It really works.
How much we avoid the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
But now if you just stand there and you tell yourself things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Good. Love that answer. What is the most random thing that makes you laugh every time?
Oh, humor. I find humor in just about everything because my mind is animated.
Uh-huh.
So if something's going on, I always put it into animation mode. Like we're sitting here talking, I can already animate you, and then something about you will make me laugh. So I think in animation form. That's what makes me laugh about everything.
Another question. If your life was a movie, what would be the title?
Oh. I like that. If my life was a movie, what would be the title? Me, Myself, and I.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
Yeah, and I actually just thought about that. That's interesting. Because sometimes I was going to overthink it, then I just thought, no, Me, Myself, and I.
I would watch that.
You would?
Yeah.
It would be interesting too. I think so. I'm an amazing fascination. Throw that out there.
Agreed. Last one. If you could have any superpower to help women's health, what would it be?
I have it already. I'm a nurturer. Yes, I'm a nurturer.
You're a nurturer?
To almost a fault.
Yeah.
I just nurture everything, and I think that's a superpower. Women are not automatically built to nurture. People think that, oh, whatever it is, but no, it's not always the case. And nurturing comes with so much pain and gain. But for me, it's automatic. I don't think about anything. In this room, I can nurture every single person. I'll find something that I can nurture.
Yeah, so where can you find Susan, you might ask? Tell us.
Thank you. So
Where did you find you?
You can find me on www.swaka.org. That's the main website. So that's a place you can go for resources outside of what you would normally do on Google. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram at Swaka International.
Thank you so much for giving us time, your energy, so vibrant. And I think our listeners have so many things to reflect on. And I hope they keep on taking care of themselves and taking care of each other also. Thank you so much for viewing us for time. Yeah, do you want to say anything else?
No, I've had fun, yeah. I hope to come back. Yeah, it's been an honor, and we create the concessions. I'd like to hear from you too, because those questions do make a difference. The things you feel like you can't say, that's my safe space. That's where I'm most comfortable in. Those weird questions. Those are the ones I want. So it's been an honor. Thank you. Thank you so much.